Hello everyone, this is Dr.Syamala Devi from the Department of MBA IB, Acharya Nagarjuna University. We are going to learn about neoclassical approach in today's class. In previous class, we have learned about classical approach. Okay. After that, we are going to learn about this neoclassical approach. Okay. So under neoclassical approach, we are going to study about human relations movement and behavioral science approach. Okay, so first of all, if we want to see neoclassical approach, okay, so neoclassical approach means it is we can say that the classical approach have certain limitations. Okay, what are those limitations? Means they are more concentrated on the enhancement of productivity rather than people oriented. Okay, so they have given more importance for increase in the productivity and efficiency of the workers only, but they have not at all seen the human factors or else the human elements. Okay, so they have not even touched the human aspect, human elements like emotions, their needs, feelings, etc. So neoclassical approach, under neoclassical approach, the inventors or else the practitioners of the theories, so they have invented this neoclassical approach, which is basically a basis for human factors. It considers, this neoclassical approach, it considers more on people, it focuses more on human elements. Okay, so human people oriented approach, we can say this as neoclassical approach. Okay, so this neoclassical approach emerged in 1920s and 1930s. Okay, so and also it is to consider to have grown out the limitations of the classical approach. Okay, so limitations of classical approach means, so the limitations of by limitations of this classical approach only neoclassical approach came into existence. So the key ideas of this neoclassical approach, what we can say the features of neoclassical approach means: employee needs, it focuses on employee needs, social factors, okay, human factors, management skills, okay, etc. So under this neoclassical approach, we are going to study about human relation management movement or behavioral science approach. If we see human relations movement, okay, so human relations movement, so it basically focuses on human elements. Okay, so about the workers, okay, their feelings, the workers' feelings, their emotions, okay, their needs, their requirements, their skills, etc. all will be studied under this human relations movement. Okay, so this human relations movement was a remarkable attempt on the part of the management practitioners for making managers more sensitive to employee needs. Okay, this is the important aspect. So in this neoclassical approach under human relations management movement, here managers are very much attached to employees, much more sensitive towards the employees needs. Okay, means here they are showing some concern towards the employees in the organization. So this movement is marked by threats of unionization. Okay, so what are the threats they are feeling by introduction of human relations in the organizations? Means they feel that this movement is a threat for unionization, means the trade unions will be created. Okay, likewise they think, because if at all trade unions are created, they will demand, they will have more fetching towards the management or organization. So it is they think that this is as a limitation, like the threat of unionization will be there if at all we practice human relations. Okay, likewise findings of Hawthorne studies and philosophy of industrial humanism also. Okay, why? Because how they can say this trade unions are going to affect the organization means already we have Hawthorne studies studied. Okay, so a philosophy of industrial humanism regarding the persons who are working in the organization. So he studied about the philosophy, or else he studied about the psychological factors of the humans or else employees working in the industry. So that is known as industrial humanism. And here Elton Mayo, Mary Parker Follett, and Douglas MacGregor, they have been main contributors to this movement. Okay, basically if we want to say, means the first person will be the Elton Mayo and the other persons are the associates to his studies. Okay, so if we now want to say what were the factors, human relation elements or else human relation movement factors, means first thing is human organization was considered as a psychosocial system, psychological social system. Why psychological, why social? Means, see, under primary focus psychologists, okay, psychologist was an on the employee as an individual. Primary focus will be on the employee as an individual. They will see employee as an individual. And socialist, they concentrated, these are psychologists. And here if we see sociologists concentrated on the employees interaction. Here psychologist, he will see that employee as an individual person, okay, as a psychologist. As a sociologist, they will see what, not only the person, here they will see about the employees interaction with the other group or with the other people. So this is the first human relation movement. Okay, this is one of the factor that is considered under the human relations movement. And other one is the theorist, the management theorist, they change the model of economic man to social man model. Okay, means they are giving more importance to not on economy or else profits. Okay, they are more concerned towards social society or else social man model thing. Means they are giving more importance to the employees, their sociological and psychological feelings, needs. Okay, likewise, so what would be the social and psychological needs? Means such as recognition, appreciation, self-report and dignity. Okay, so we have already studied in motivational theories, okay, that in Maslow's theory we will study the physiological needs, social need, basic needs, social needs. Okay, then self actualization needs, likewise. Okay, means here appreciation, recognition, self report, dignity, all should be maintained here. Okay, so those are considered as the social and psychological needs. And coming to third aspect under human relations approach, they strongly believe that there should be no conflicts or clashes in the organization. If at all arises, it must be removed completely because it is desirable in terms of healthy organizational functioning. Okay, so this is the fourth element or fourth factor under human relations movement. Definitely if a group of people are working in an organization, means definitely they may occur some disturbances or else some conflicts or clashes between the groups or individuals may arise. So here what we have to see, means if at all any conflicts arises in the organization, means it must be removed completely, because if we want to withstand in the competitive world, if we want to remain in the market, so for the healthy organizational functioning, these conflicts or clashes should be removed completely. Okay, and then as to secure maximum contribution, the manager should get along with employees. This is very important, because here human relation movement is more concerned towards the employees. Okay, social needs, social requirements. Therefore the manager should not show autocratic type or else bureaucratic type. He should get along with employees and work along with them. Okay, a fair and frank communication must take place between them. Okay, that is another human factor. And in order to motivate an individual employee, his motivating desire should be ascertained in terms of his emotions, beliefs, attitudes and habits. So in order to motivate an individual employee, how can we motivate the individual employee? Means, okay, we have to ascertain, first of all we have to ascertain the motivating desire of that particular individual employee. So we have to show concern towards their emotions, their beliefs, their attitudes and habits. Okay, then sense of belongingness should be created among employees. This is very important. Why? Because then only the people in the organization will show loyalty towards the organization. They feel that the organization is their own. Sense of belongingness should be created among employees. Okay, and how can we give that? Means by giving confidence to them, like involving them in taking decision making. Okay, because decision making plays an important part in the organization. If at all the employees are given a chance to in this decision making process, means definitely this give a confidence to employees. Okay, then they will create a belongingness towards the organization. Okay, then human relations approach basically aims at providing high degree of satisfaction. Okay, high degree of satisfaction and motivation. Okay, how can we increase, how can organization can increase high degree of satisfaction and motivation? Means by providing working conditions, good working conditions, fair remunerations, style of supervision. Okay, sense of security should be given to them, that their job will not go anywhere likewise. Okay, so these are the factors. Okay, then if we see briefly about this human relations, the theorist, how the person who is behind this and what are the experiments means. If we see here, Hawthorne studies. Okay, Hawthorne studies and its findings provide a concrete base of human relations approach. Okay, so the findings of Hawthorne studies forced management scientists to turn away from economic model to social model. Okay, then the person George Elton Mayo. Okay, he was a professor at Harvard Business School. He published several books relating to management subject. Okay, he is also considered as founder of behavioral school of thought. Okay, so he has given certain information regarding the behavior of the persons in the industry. Okay, he conducted famous Hawthorne experiments, means industry experiments were conducted by him in order to know the behavior of the employees, and these experiments revealed the overwhelming influence of social and psychological factors. What are the findings of the experiment? Means those experiments shows influence of social and psychological factors on employee morale and employee productivity. Depending upon the employee social feelings, social and psychological factors only, the productivity is dependent. Then the findings had a significant impact on management thought. The job holder became the focal point of attention in place of job. So a new movement known as human relations movement emerged. Okay, so this is the concept, human relations movement emerged by doing Hawthorne experiments, and they give importance to social and psychological factors. If at all employees productivity should increase, means those should be known by the organizations. And Hawthorne experiments by Elton Mayo. Okay, so Hawthorne experiments means are carried out at Hawthorne plant of General Electric Company, Chicago, which was manufacturing telephone system bells. Okay, so these experiments or studies began in the year 1924. So these studies were started to envisage the relationship between the light and productivity. Okay, if at all more light is provided, how the production is there. If at all employees were provided with low level of light, means okay, providing the light, then how is the productivity? So the differences were studied in the Hawthorne experiments. So but at a later stage of team, behavioral research scientist headed Elton Mayo called upon from Harvard for making more rigorous studies. Okay, then they have extended those experiments. Okay, then the researchers set out to study the relationship between productivity and physical working. Okay, these three aspects, on which conditions, how are they working. Then they conducted research or experiments in 4 phases. Okay, experiments have been conducted under 4 phases. So what are those 4 phases? Means first one is illumination experiment, relay assembly test room, mass interviewing program. Okay, and bank wiring. Another one is that. Okay, so 4 bank wiring program is another 4th one will be there. Okay, so if we see about illumination experiment, so this was the first phase of experiment. Okay, illumination. Firstly they have done this only, light. Okay, light and productivity, between the light and productivity. So first phase of experiment, illumination means it is nothing but level of lighting. Okay, on the how this light affects on the output of employees. This is the question regarding the illumination experiment. Okay, then this experiment revealed that productivity could be increased not only by improving working conditions but through the informal social relations, okay, among the members of the working group. Thus, it was concluded that the human factor was important in determining productivity. Here, what experiment is conducted means, here they have grouped 6 member of women. They place them in a one room. Okay, so there they are going to work in that particular separate room. Okay, a light is provided. Okay, and now the experiment is going on that if the light giving the light facilities is more means, how would be the productivity? Do they produce more units or not? Or else if at all lighting facility was decreased, then how the productivity is there? So they have seen, but if after completion of experiment what they have learned means, what they have find out means, see, the productivity depends not upon the level of lighting, but it depends upon the interactions, social relations, informal social relations, because the superior who have headed them, okay, so those persons are, they have maintained good relations, good informal social relations with the workers there. So this has created more impact than the light. Okay, so that is the ending point in this illumination experiment. Then if you see relay assembly test room, okay, so this experiment was undertaken to find out, okay, to find out whether there was any relation between job conditions and production. Okay, here light and production, here job conditions and production. So in this experiment a small homogeneous work group was constituted. Okay, in that industry only, in that organization only, a group of people were picked. Okay, so several new elements were introduced in the work atmosphere. Okay, so like short working hours only, not more working hours. Okay, they are provided, this small group was provided with short working hours, appropriate rest periods have been given, they have improved the physical conditions of the workers, and friendly and informal supervision is there, free social interaction is there among groups. Okay, so where the new elements were introduced, all these are the new elements that were introduced in the experiment level. Okay, then productivity and morale increased consistently during the period of the experiment. Okay, so morality of the employees increased, morale and productivity were maintained even if improvements in working conditions were withdrawn also. Okay, you have to observe this, even though after that, after completing that experiment, they have withdrawn the all those small working hours, rest periods, okay, physical conditions. So all these they have reduced all those things. Then also the productivity remained same. Okay, so the research concluded that socio-psychological factors as feelings of being important, recognition, attention, participation, small informal cohesive work group and non-directive supervision held the key for higher productivity. Okay, so this is the reason. So socio-psychological factors like we are giving importance to the employees, recognition is given, attention is given, participation has been allowed, small informal cohesive group means where they can express their own views and opinions very freely. Okay, then in this type of environment, okay, higher productivity has been seen. So this is about the relay assembly test room experiment. Then coming to mass interviewing program. Okay, so mass interviewing program means the program was aimed to find out, okay, to find out the attitude of employees towards their job, working conditions, supervision styles, etc. Okay, so about 20,000 workers were interviewed here, and results again confirm that importance of informal relations. Here also, what is the important aspect means informal relations, socio-psychological factors. Okay, their influence on the behavior of workers. However, the results were not satisfactory. Therefore, researchers decided to conduct another series of experiment. Okay, so here mass interviewing means interviewing all the people where they can freely express their views and opinions. Okay, then see, after this we have bank wiring system also. This is also another important I have not written here. Okay, but after mass interviewing program we will have bank wiring observation room. Okay, bank wiring observation, okay, room experiment. Okay, so what does this study says means this study or experiment was conducted to investigate social pattern of behavior of group of 14 workers and their supervision. Okay, so this study proved that importance of small informal social groups like cliques in the organization. Okay, only small groups with informal organization, then this will be going very good experiment. Okay, so this is about bank wiring observation room experiment. Okay, so if we see, these are all the Hawthorne experiments, 4 Hawthorne experiments that were conducted in the human relations movement. Why? Because more than other aspects, okay, employee psychological and social factors affects more on the productivity. So that is why human relations theory approach has been studied. Okay, experiments were conducted. If you evaluate this human relations movement means, okay, so if you see Hawthorne experiments also, if you evaluate also, they are proved as a landmark in the evolution of management thought, and they gave birth to the human relations movement. They gave a fillip to a large number of studies on the human aspects of management. So these experiments unearthed those factors which motivate people at work. Okay, but also we can say that there are certain criticisms regarding these Hawthorne experiments also, because experiments were criticized for lack of scientific analysis and vigorous approach. Okay, so there is no scientific analysis for saying these human aspects, because all those are not quantitative. Human elements are human emotions, feelings are qualitative but not quantitative. We cannot quantify them, we cannot give a number. So experiments were criticized on that aspect, like lack of scientific analysis. Okay, likewise it was alleged that researchers had certain preconceived orientations and perceptions. So regarding on that, their perceptions and their assumptions, they have laid down this theory. Likewise, experiments were too narrow and small to warrant generalization. If we want to generalize to the whole world, then we cannot apply that. Okay, they are very narrow, so therefore they may not enjoy wide and general application in all kinds of work situations. Okay, likewise simplistic and naive conclusions were drawn from these isolated case studies. So but some have accepted those Hawthorne studies also. Okay, so now if you want to evaluate totally the human relations movement means, okay, so first of all, if we see this ignored, okay, human relations approach has ignored basic issues such as productivity, job satisfaction, and efficient accomplishment of organizational goals. So what they have emphasized means too much emphasis is on human side of organization. It does not guarantee higher production on part of workers. Okay, so what they have missed means, okay, issues like productivity, job satisfaction, and efficient accomplishment of the organizational goals. This is also important. Without accomplishing the organizational goals, organization will not be in a profit mode. Okay, so next another evaluation is that human relation approach cannot be treated as a complete package. Okay, so to deal with them effectively, because no attempt has been made by the advocates of this approach for studying and analyzing human behavior. Okay, so the advocates, or else the persons, the Alton, Mayo, their associates, they have not attempted, okay, regarding this approach, that by studying and analyzing regarding this human behavior, okay, like how means systematically and scientifically. Okay, then the entire approach of human relation aims at creating happiness and providing satisfaction to workers, but without translating these variables into high moral and motivation, desired results cannot be achieved. Okay, even though the approach is related to the happiness and well-being of the workers, we need some variables. So those variables are very high moral variables, and if at all they are not being motivated, achievement is not possible. Okay, for example, they have stated about recognition, okay, self-actualization, recognition. So if at all, if it is not possible every time to give recognition to the employees in the organization, to every employee. So these are not these are vague, if we want to say. Okay, proper scientific method is not there. Then after completing this human relation movement under neoclassical, okay, see, we have now completed human relations movement. Now the second aspect is behavioral science approach. Okay, so we are going to study about behavioral science approach.